Yeah, thank you very much for joining us today, Patrick and Ivan online. We're joined, we have special guests today. How old were you when you started trading, Ivan?
I was definitely
14 months or
I
was
was
it 14 years?
14 years. Yeah. So we thought that children should be better than their parents.
Yeah.
We're
We've got Johnny. We've got Johnny,
in our new
Ivan's
gigs.
son, who's coming to join us for the session today. Ivan's Mr. Mum today.
we've had some problems.
Oh, hang on. There you go, Johnny. Let's kick off. So interesting little period of time. We'll bring up the XJO chart.
Very interesting. How good is that guy that we spoke about yesterday? He'd be absolutely smashing it today.
Yeah,
Because he wasn't that far ahead.
Actually, we should bring that up. In the background there. We ran a session for those of you that weren't on the session last night. We had Graham O'Brien, head of derivatives for equity derivatives, or senior manager for equity derivatives from the ASX, talking strategies, and we went and had a look at the options game, and we have a clear winner there whose position was, let's just say, very short.
There's never been a time when halfway through the game was over.
Yeah.
It's like, there's a commentator's mistake, the number one rule, you're not supposed to call it over until
it's over. He can still lose it all. The way he's trading is very aggressively. So I would say game is still on, Ivan.
Unless he stops.
Yeah, unless he stops.
Unless he stops,
unless he leaves.
So down at 100 today. I mean, my God, it's, I like how we would be doing a Monday session, hoping for that follow-up on the breakup the next day, and then the market turns, and it happens.
Well, I mean, just look at the chart. Right? It's happened 3 times in the last, since August.
Yeah.
And it kind of has been mirroring itself.
Yeah. Are you trying to say buy the dip? Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah. I don't know. If you're playing the options game, maybe.
Yeah.
If you're trading, stick to your rules.
Yeah.
I might have a flutter.
I love my puts. That's my favorite. But anyway, of course, the time that I decided not to buy the puts was before this.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, to be fair, we've been flat out. There's going to be a bunch of news coming out from that front soon. So, but it's, oh God, anyway. It just goes back to, I'm so stoked that the guys in Sydney are getting their stuff up and running so that we can go in and actually utilize these guys. Great. Again, there's been some good trading opportunities with the iron condors is probably the one that I'm mostly disappointed with, in the sense that I just haven't had time to get onto those, because you got to be monitoring the market at 10:30 in the morning. That stuff is tricky, especially in light of recent situations. So I gotta get my account open. Those guys is pretty much the
So I mean, we've been talking about this. We've been right up to those 52-week high. We haven't had a poke through yet. There's been lots of trades that have been approaching lit long, but haven't switched over into lit long territory. So there's not been a heap to do. It's been nice that we've got close, and we've been at those pivot points, but we haven't quite got into the territory for the trades to kick off.
The really good thing about this is the market's peaked at 6,900 effectively, and now for the second time around, obviously within the appropriate period, eventually, you know what the news will say. No matter what happens now, eventually there'll be a Santa Claus rally. If it starts rallying in March, they'll still say, oh, well, it's a bit of a delayed Santa Claus rally. A little bit like summer in Melbourne.
It's an Easter rally.
It's an Easter rally, yeah. So now it's going to consolidate around this range, and hopefully we get a much cleaner breakout from 6,900. Assuming it happens, obviously. The market just starts pricing stuff in at random points, right? Yeah.
Now, any questions? Anything anyone wants to go through? I mean, there's no trades that are lining up for us. There's a bit more of a waiting game on the breakout trades. There's nothing approaching on the short side either. So
no man's land.
No man's land for now. Well, there could be some iron condors coming our way soon, depending on what happens. So vols.
Have a look at that. Vols up. And this is the funny thing is, now we go, oh wow, we've got vol at 13. Remember the time
Yeah,
when 15 was normal, right?
Yeah, exactly. So what if we went back like 3 years, we would have spiked now to like
40, 30,
well, 25 or something like that. But maybe more. And the
market's not what it used to be.
Nope, it changes. But anyway, there you go. So any questions? I'd like to go and have a look at this guy's position.
Yes, let's do that. That's just because we're all envious of what we could have done.
You can trade cryptocurrency or you can trade the options game.
Either way, whatever. Yeah. Okay, now I'm interested. Okay,
so let's have a look at this man.
$1.1 million.
Yeah. So this is all-time trade for the options game by a long. It was all-time trade yesterday,
and he's just doubled it again today.
And he's doubled it again today. Wow.
Yeah, and so that expires tomorrow morning. So
yeah.
It has that net theta, 100 grand in time decay. That's brilliant. It just what you can do with $50,000. I mean, that's that's unbelievable. So anyway, we ran through this yesterday. It was quite funny because obviously, it's just a little bit out of time. But so just gonna make sure that I can actually see the screen. So started, so you bought some puts on the 25th, sold some puts later that day, met by 50 grand, got to 70 grand. Then took it, traded that 70 grand into buying some calls. Then closed that down, bought some puts, and that's just taken them to next level territory. So amazing. Guys, any questions on that amazing strategy?
All right. So it'd be interesting for game players. I think there's probably some trend trading, sort of trade the dip type strategies that whilst a high risk, if you can position yourself for a move on the upside, that'd be interesting.
Almost like the only chance, right?
Yeah.
But
but you're going to have to go hard. Otherwise, guys, in terms of your own trades, is there anything you want to have a look at? Any positions? I don't think other than that, there's a heap to be waxing on about. Fundamentally, man.
Yeah, you love fundamentals.
Well, but what do you say? I mean, if you look back over the XJO, were you right here? If you traded the news, or were you trading the news? Were you simply trading a pivot point, and the market went, we didn't break it, and capitulate? I don't know. So there's just not a lot of leads out of there. The conversation we had on Monday was, well, whilst none of those trades came to fruition in terms of the breakouts happening, it was probably more of a meaningful chat about stuff that was in the market at that point in time. So, a little bit of a recovery. There is plenty of stuff. And if we get a Christmas rally, it's just probably, if that is what eventuates, it'll be about being ready for when that happens.
Probably after this, probably early next year.
Yeah.
Assuming the vol comes back and the market sort of glides its way further up.
Yep.
That's what's going to happen.
Yep. All right, guys. Any questions? Otherwise, I think we've short and sharp session today. We'll be back online next week. We've got some more. Next week, we've got a really interesting webcast. So, especially for you guys who are, probably in the more advanced options traders, we can talk about volatility. Graham O'Brien's coming. Obviously, Ivan loves volatility. So that'd be interesting.
Actually, speaking of which, you've got for the 708, you've got a pretty good product on at the moment, the dispersion.
Yeah, so actually, why not? We can talk about that.
You've had one, so just a quick restart. This is version 2 of the first one. The first one was meant to make money if the market was effectively, it's like a hedge, but it made money, it doubled, right? Yeah,
it kind of, volatility increasing is good for it. Dispersion is increasing is good for it. Yeah. So what the way that the investments are designed are, you choose a basket of stocks that if there's geopolitical issues, inflation, deflation, or just economic uncertainty, that they perform differently, right? And so the dispersion increases, and it's a really interesting way of actually hedging. It's difficult when you look around. There's plenty of ways of going long. There's very few ways of going short. And so it's a way of doing that. And so we're going to run a session on it tonight. and tonight you're talking about correlation, dispersion and volatility from an investment perspective. If you want to come along to that session, just type in yes and I'll get someone to send you an invite, 7 o'clock tonight. And so we'll go through what is dispersion and how does it work, and then how does this basket of shares work, and how is it put together. It's predominantly, the investment itself is being put together for hedge fund managers. So, it's kind of like the types of investments they look at, and then they'll get the investment for the IBs to put them together to be able to trade a particular view. So, if you're interested, come along tonight. We'll go through like how these things are constructed, which I think is very interesting, and have a chat about that. And if you're interested, let us know. The details of the investment are out there at the moment. Speak to Blake or Michael or Dave, and they can talk you through it. But it's an interesting time.
A riveting product.
It is really interesting. And so we had one that we had out, and even though volatility's done nothing, this investment, if it just stays where it is now, people are like, I think it's close to already doubled their money on the investment. So it's something that you can stick in because of the gearing in it.
Even though the implied volatility dropped in the underlying market,
done nothing.
The dispersion between the individual stocks in the basket. So it's
increased.
It's almost an interesting way of looking at the market.
And for us, because we understand this stuff, when we go in and have a look at these products, we're kind of getting right into the nitty-gritty of like why this basket and why. So I think you'll find this one's quite an interesting one. Anyway, if you want to come along, type in yes, I'll get someone, if you haven't already booked in, and I'll get someone to shoot you the details so that you can get in there. So the people that have, we will sort you out. Other than that, guys, thanks for coming along. If there's any questions, type them in. Otherwise, see you on the session tonight, or otherwise volatility session next week. I think will be a really good one, Tuesday night. And then post that, we'll be back for Trade Group, and we'll be tracking the market and giving you updates as they come out. Beautiful.
Perfect.
Excellent.
Thank you so much.
Have a wonderful day. Thanks, guys.
See ya.
Cheers.